In deep space, more than 4 million light years away from here, in the coldest and emptiest region we can possibly imagine, there's an abyss between galaxies where almost nothing should exist. This is a region astronomers call the intergalactic void. No stars to form systems, no planets to orbit, no known sources of light or heat. It is the absolute silence of the cosmos. And yet, something came from there. Its name is 3I Atlas. The 3I indicates it is only the third object ever recorded entering the solar system from interstellar space. Its most famous relative was Oumuamua. But unlike all the other cosmic travelers, Atlas displays a set of characteristics that defy our current understanding and do not fit any known natural model. It does not move like a typical comet. It does not reflect light consistently like asteroids. And, most alarming for physicists, it appears to change speed in a non-gravitational manner as it approaches specific regions of space under the influence of our sun. If the initial analyses are confirmed, and the scientific community is treating this with the utmost seriousness, we are facing one of the greatest enigmas in the modern history of astronomy. We are observing an anomaly that suggests an origin beyond nature itself. When Oumuamua was detected in 2017, it divided the scientific community. Its mysterious acceleration and its elongated shape were difficult to explain with simple natural forces. At the time, it was a challenge, but the majority still searched for a geological explanation, like invisible sublimating ice. Then in 2019, the comet 2I Borisov entered the system, and this one behaved like a classic natural body. Ice sublimating, a visible gaseous tail, perfectly following Kepler's laws. It served as our benchmark for interstellar normality. But now, 3I Atlas presents a third pattern, completely different from the previous two. It is a combination of everything strange, minus the characteristics of a comet. First, it has no stable visible tail, a fundamental characteristic of a comet. Second, it exhibits no constant gas jets, eliminating the main source of non-gravitational acceleration we know of. Third, and crucial, its measured surface temperature does not correspond to the amount of solar energy it receives. It should be hotter or colder. Fourth, the key anomaly, the change in trajectory, is exactly the opposite of what is seen in comets. Atlas decelerates instead of accelerating as it approaches the sun. In other words, it is interacting with the environment in a way that suggests an absorption or repulsion of energy that the physics of rocky bodies cannot explain. 3I Atlas was detected in 2024 by the ATLAS system, Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Last Alert System, a network of telescopes designed to identify objects that could pose a risk to Earth. But what initially seemed like just another newly discovered comet or asteroid began to reveal itself as extremely anomalous within weeks. Imagine yourself in the control room, looking at the real-time data. Every point of light is a number, a trajectory, a velocity. You notice the error. This object's entry does not follow the rules we know. Normally, interstellar objects, upon entering our system, follow what we call hyperbolic trajectories, broad curves, determined only by the sun's gravitational pull and the initial entry velocity. They are predictable, passive trajectories. But 3I Atlas does not behave that way. It maintains an almost straight, corrected line, as if it were guided by an invisible hand through the void. It is not just falling toward the sun, it appears to be navigating. This forces us to consider possibilities that, until recently, were exclusive to science fiction. Extreme natural explanation. It interacts with particles and magnetic fields in space in a way that plasma physics still does not fully understand, perhaps like an object with an immense electrostatic charge. This is the most conservative hypothesis. Technological explanation. It is moving with some form of control, not just by inertia. It possesses active propulsion or navigation. If it is the second option and physical logic points to it, you have to admit the obvious. It is not just a trajectory. The initial spectroscopic data, which analyzes reflected light to determine chemical composition, is equally troubling. It shows an unusual surface composition. There is not enough ice to explain jets. It does not reflect light consistently, suggesting it is not a homogeneous rock. In simple terms, 3I/Atlas does not fit any known natural pattern. It is a complete outlier. As more measurements were taken by telescopes worldwide, three unique characteristics emerged, reinforcing the idea that the object is structurally resilient and non-natural. 1. Extremely elongated shape and resistance. Detailed three-dimensional models suggest the object is at least 3 to 5 times longer than it is wide. In nature, such an elongated rocky body, traveling for millions of light years, tend to fragment easily due to tidal forces or small collisions. Oumuamua had this shape, and astronomers struggled to explain how it remained intact. But 3I Atlas remained stable. It behaves as if it was designed to travel great distances in a vacuum, with a shape that minimizes drag and the influence of external gravitational forces. 2. Variable reflectivity and layering. The amount and type of light it reflects change constantly, but in a non-random way. This indicates surfaces with different compositions or layers, almost like artificial panels or structures, rather than random rocky surfaces. The variation does not follow the typical, smooth rotation pattern of asteroids or comets. It is as if with each rotation, different sections glint or darken, suggesting there are reflective parts and absorbent parts, linked within a cohesive structure. You can imagine the object interacting with the sun's light in a calculated manner. 3. Active deceleration, the solar sail effect. Do you recall Oumuamua, which accelerated for no apparent reason? 3I Atlas does the opposite. It decelerates when it enters regions with higher solar radiation, close to the ecliptic plane. This reaction is similar to solar sail propulsion, the very experimental technology humans are studying for interstellar travel, where the pressure of sunlight is used to push a craft. A solar sail requires an object with extremely low mass for a large surface area. The disturbing conclusion is, it is not a rock. It is as if the object were programmed to respond to the sun's energy, using it to brake. The discussion is no longer confined to the fringes of science. The data have forced the biggest names in astrophysics to speak out. Professor Avi Loeb, a Harvard astrophysicist and one of the leading proponents of the idea of interstellar technology, stated with even greater conviction after Atlas, when an interstellar object shows acceleration that cannot be explained by the known laws of physics, we must consider the technological hypothesis as the most parsimonious. It is the one that requires the fewest and proven assumptions about the physics of celestial bodies. The Max Planck Institute for Solar System Research published data indicating that Atlas simply does not contain enough ice to explain the deceleration via sublimation jets. This eliminates the last major hope for a purely natural explanation. The Helsinki Space Dynamics Center traced the object's most probable origin, and the result is even more epic. 3I Atlas comes from outside the Milky Way, from a region associated with the Sagittarius dwarf spheroidal galaxy's stellar stream, a stream almost dispersed on the galactic edges. This means Atlas has traveled an intergalactic distance before finding our system. It is estimated that its age may exceed that of our own solar system, although with a wide margin of error. It could be a survivor of extinct star systems, traveling for billions of light years before reaching our neighborhood. You begin to realize that you are not just observing a rock. It could be a fragment of something much larger, possibly a relic of ancient interstellar technology, a cosmic artifact. But there is one final detail that cannot be ignored, and it is the one that truly suggests intent. Something that does not fit any conventional physical model, whether natural or technological. When 3I Atlas approached the solar system, it adjusted its trajectory, not by random collisions, not by a sudden gravitational influence, but by something that, to the mathematicians who tracked its path, appeared to be intentional and pinpointed. Simulations show that if it had continued on its initial entry angle, it would have passed almost 1 billion kilometers from Earth, too far for any significant observation by terrestrial or space telescopes. It would have been just another faint data point. But it changed. It changed just enough to become visible to our instruments. It moved into our field of view and into the ideal observation orbit. And here is the most disturbing detail, the real plot twist. This change, the start of deceleration and course adjustment, happened before we detected the object with the Atlas system. In other words, we did not find it. It was as if it found us. Do you feel the weight of that idea? The impression that something or someone observed us first from a great distance, and then decided to approach just enough. But not too close to collide, which would be disastrous. But not far enough to be ignored, like a visitor who stops at your doorstep and simply watches. Faced with this data, astronomers began to suggest hypotheses, officially speculative, but recorded in preprint articles for debate. One, dead or deactivated probe, the most popular theory. An ancient interstellar craft, without an active primary power source, just wandering the cosmos for millions or billions of years. Its elongated shape and resistance would be remnants of its engineering. Two, deactivated solar sail, an ultralight device powered by starlight. Its deceleration would be a passive reaction to encountering an intense light source, the sun, similar to humanity's real-life project, Breakthrough Starshot. In other words, a technology that we ourselves are trying to develop. 3. Silent signal, an object sent to survey star systems. It transmits nothing directly, but records data autonomously. It merely observes, records, and moves on. It may have adjusted its trajectory to optimize data collection about our sun and the inner planets. 4. Fragment of an ancient megastructure. The remains of civilizations that may have vanished billions of years ago, perhaps a piece of a stellar propulsion engine. It does not need to be functional. It does not need to be crude. It only needs to exist. And when you understand that time itself can destroy everything except the laws of physics, only one philosophical question remains. What survives across space for eons? Rocks and natural bodies, and technology built to outlast its creators. When an interstellar object enters the solar system, it carries with it the history of another place. It is a cosmic messenger. It could be the chemistry of a planet we will never see, the minerals of a star that has already died, or the signature of intelligences that are long gone. If 3I Atlas turns out to be a natural phenomenon that physics cannot yet explain, it is still a message from another world. But if it is not, then it is not just a message. It is a messenger. Observe the final trajectory. 3I Atlas will not stay here. It will not remain in orbit. It will leave. It will pass through the solar system. Let's observe it, complete its silent mission, and then disappear again into the darkness between the stars. No return. No explanations, no noise, no transmission, just silence, like a traveler crossing a city at night, who glances quickly at the lights in the windows and then keeps walking on their journey. And this leaves us with 3 questions that no one can answer. If it came, how many more have already come that we missed? If it observed life in our system, what did it see? And if it is not alone, when will we see the next one? Because interstellar objects do not arrive in isolation. They come in flows, in waves, and the next wave has already been tentatively detected by astronomers. But that is a subject for the next video. If you want to understand what might be coming after 3I Atlas, an even faster and more mysterious object, then subscribe to the channel now. This channel exists to reveal what is hidden between the visible and the impossible in the universe. Hit the notification bell, because the next episode starts exactly where this one left off. And you will want to be here when the next and most disturbing piece of this cosmic puzzle appears.